It should come as no surprise, but homelessness can really wear on a person. With no stability in life, it can be nearly impossible to find a job or the money necessary to fix your situation. Olivia and her family knew all about that. As the winter of 2016 approached, Olivia, her husband Eric, and their 3 children found life pretty hopeless. They lived in a converted school bus that repeatedly broke down, and they had no money, no jobs, and no prospects. Nothing was going well for them. The family moved from Florida to Missouri in hopes of a better life, but they found few opportunities there. They hit the road again, but they hadn't even traveled 1,000 miles before their bus broke down in Colorado. At that point, they were homeless, jobless, penniless, and stuck. From there, their nightmare worsened. Someone stole all of Eric's IDs. They couldn't find work, and making matters infinitely worse, they couldn't find the money for RV sites. That's how they ended up parked behind a gas station on Thanksgiving Day. "We didn't think we were going to have a Christmas at all," Olivia told Denver 7 News. "We'd have been lucky if we had enough food or if we got jobs." As a family, they were at rock bottom, and then they came face to face with Virginia Kinch. It was a strange set of circumstances that allowed for Virginia and Olivia to meet. Back in September 2016, Virginia had been selling some items from her basement on Craigslist when several interesting responses filled her mailbox. Single mothers seemed to be the only people responding to Virginia's Craigslist postings. None of them could afford Virginia's stuff, but they all offered to exchange work for the items they wanted. That's when Virginia had an idea. Instead of selling the junk she'd cleaned out of her basement, Virginia decided to give it away. "Take what you need," she told the inquiring mothers. Virginia wanted to support those in need, and she truly enjoyed the feeling that came with being generous. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around, Virginia, her husband, and their 3 teenage daughters were passing out food to the homeless around town. They knew about the family living behind the gas station in a broken-down bus, so they prepared them a special Thanksgiving meal. But when Virginia and her family knocked on the bus's door and came face to face with Olivia and her kids, they saw something eerie. It was like looking in a mirror. There, homeless, broke, and hungry, were a mother, a father, and 3 little girls. In another life, it could have been the Kinch family on that bus. And that broke Virginia's heart. "We fed them and went home and cried," Virginia told Denver 7 News, "and decided that we needed to do something. But what could they do?" Virginia and her husband had their own house and children to take care of. Still, the family had an unbelievable idea. The Kinch family had a second house in the city of Greeley, Colorado. Virginia and her husband had planned to rent it or sell it, but after chatting with Olivia behind the gas station, they thought of a better use for it. That's how Virginia ended up driving back to ask Olivia and her family if they wanted to move into the Kinch's spare house. "I just didn't think it was real," Olivia said, "like a cruel joke, because who does that? Nobody does that. We just couldn't leave them like that with those little babies in the cold," Virginia told the Longmont Daily Times Call. She donated her house to people she didn't know at all until they got back on her feet. But Virginia wasn't finished. For a week, Virginia and her family collected donations of food, clothes, and toys from people around town. Her teenage daughters even offered to return Christmas presents so more money could go to supporting Olivia and her kids. The community had even more surprises for the struggling family. Remember that Olivia's husband Eric had lost all his forms of identification somewhere along the way in Colorado. Well, the local church in Greeley, Colorado stepped in and helped find replacements. While Eric had his IDs replaced, Olivia found daycare for her kids. Without having to care for and supervise them 24 hours a day, she and her husband were free to interview for jobs again. They had momentum in the right direction. It can be really difficult to get out of homelessness. People don't understand that it's so unstable. It's so hard to get your footing and get out of it, explained Olivia. Thanks to Virginia, though, this family was certainly on their way. Meanwhile, Virginia plotted what to do with the property once Olivia and her family were able to secure a residence of their own. If all went well, she figured she'd loan the house to another homeless family in need. In the end, because Virginia and her family cared about others so much, Olivia and her kids were able to have a very merry indoor Christmas. Olivia said it best, "People just need someone to care." It's clear that Virginia and the Greeley community are kind souls, but it's those acts of personal charity that, as Olivia put it, restore our faith in humanity.